Hello and welcome to this tutorial in Autodesk Maya for modeling a space gun. This is a continuation of a project begun in my Introduction to Modeling in Maya course at the Universidad de Anáhuac, Escuela de Diseño at Querétaro, Mexico. I am Christopher Dillard, and welcome. So before we start, if you're from my class at Anáhuac, you are welcome to start from the point in the last session. So you should have a file that you were following along with the demo that I was making. You're welcome to start from that file. Do not have to, though. You can start from the start file provided. It's provided as a link here, but it will also be provided underneath the video on YouTube. If you're not from my course and wandered here somehow, you are welcome to use the start file as well. Either way, you are encouraged not to copy paste what I do. Obviously you can't copy paste, but you can just limit your imagination to nothing and just do exactly what I do. It's not what I want. I want you to add your own flair. You know, if I do something a certain way and you know how to do it a different way, go ahead. If I do something for a particular look and you want to add a little bit of something else, pause the video. Go ahead and add your own flair as you go. Remember that modeling is art, and art is supposed to be fun. If it's not fun, you probably should find something else to do. Okay, this video is going to go rather fast. I'm going to try to explain what I'm doing while I'm doing it, but most of this stuff has already been covered in the course. Therefore, I think it's okay to go fast. It's also in video format, so you can always watch what I do and pause it and go ahead and do it yourself at your own speed and then resume the video. Again, like I said earlier, the link should be listed below the video, but for some reason this is not true. There's the link. Now you probably can't click it inside the video. I'll try to make a link point, but due to time constraints it might not be immediate, but you can always type it in manually. Alright, here is the project goal. That is not where this video will resume from. Pieces missing are this cable, the handle, the grip, the trigger, these little nubs here for a better feel, this attachment bar. So if the design of this is that if some kind of attachment like a scanner or even some kind of holographic scope or something was to be attached to this gun, it would be attached here on this attachment bar. These little visual appeal things on the barrel are also not on the start file of this video. And as a matter of fact, this attachment bar, these visual additions, and this cable are what will comprise this lab. Alright, so with that getting out of the way, let's get started. I'm going to close my tools, open my channel box as a standard procedure for me. I'm going to open the start file. Alright, so looking at this, we see that we have one piece of geometry comprising the cylinder. We have the groove built for the handle, though it's not there yet, and the barrel is one piece as well. We're going to begin by doing this piece. It's like a little attachment for the attachment bar, if you will, coming off the top of the cylinder. Alright, so to do that, we're going to go in face selection mode, and we're going to select, maybe, let's see, yeah, that looks okay. We'll select these polygons, do an extrude, and we'll just move it up like so. Alright, that's not exactly what I want, but we can always shape it, so let's go ahead and keep that. Alright, so for this back part, if we look at this, we see that it kind of blends back into the cylinder, and this front part is more or less coming at just a perfect degree going up. Okay, so it should be at 90 degrees right here, and it's not. And it doesn't have to be exactly 90 degrees, but you kind of get the idea. And obviously this is not 90 degrees. As a matter of fact, I probably shouldn't have grabbed that extra polygon. I'm going to go ahead and undo that. Alright, and I'm going to hold down Control and unselect that. And I'll select this one. No, you know what? I'll just leave that one alone. Alright, so I'll do an extrude, add some thickness, and that'll be a lot easier to shape. Alright, so I want this to come down here. Now, there are a couple ways you can do this. You can take your edge and you can move it down, like so. We still want that rounded kind of look to it though. Something like that. But I don't really want this extra piece here. I want it to really blend in. If I add my smoothing, you can see it still kind of has a little bump there, and I don't want that. So I'm going to go into my vertex mode, and I'll use target weld. So mesh tools, target weld. And what this does is it says, okay, the first point you select, and I'll click one, and you'll see that you get this little yellow circle. Now you can, while you're still dragging, you're holding down the button and dragging, it's asking you now which vertex do you want me to combine this with, moving the vertex to this point and then turning it into one vertex. So I release, and it has combined those vertices together. Same thing over here, and there we go. Alright, now that little bump is gone, but I have some other kind of craziness here, which we'll attend to shortly. Alright. Q to get out of that tool, go into Edge, and I'll round these back off again. Back to keep this edge flow straight as possible there. Okay. Alright, so let's look at this craziness. It's folded under. Okay, well, that's easy enough to fix, hopefully. Let's go ahead and go to Mesh Tools and insert an edge loop here. And maybe one here. And that minimized it, it's still there though. Add another edge loop here. Add one here. Here. And here. And there we go. nice. Alright, so the front of this, I want to be rounded off a little bit. And a little bit sharper here, a little bit sharper there. Okay, something like that. Alright, so this front section, I want to go ahead and grab this face and do an extrude. And I'll go ahead and give it an offset like so. Do another extrude and take the thickness down, and then one more extrude and give that a small offset. And look at it smooth, looks something like that. Alright, so I'm going to grab my faces, and I want to push this further back. Alright, maybe something like that. Alright, so to get that connection made here, I'm going to add a cylinder. Like so. And move that into position. And I'll flip it. Whoa, no. Okay, well, I'll make it again then, evidently. It should. I thought it would still be here. Where is it? Oh, I moved it. Okay. Get rid of this one. This one. Alright, move that back over here. Let's just turn on vertex snapping. Snap it over there on top of this one. Alright, now turn off vertex snapping, move this into position. Alright, now let's try that again. This time doing my rotate. What happened is I was trying to flip it in 90 degrees on the X, but I selected translate X and it moved it instead of rotating it. Alright, let's scale this like so. A little bit further down and move it in. Something like that will suffice. See if I add the smoothing modifier. Well, it's not really a modifier, but alright, so I'm going to insert an edge loop right here. Alright, next I'll go into vertex selection. What I'm going to do is I'll select this middle vertex. I want to get all of these faces. So with this one vertex selected, I'll go to select grow. Then I'll hold down my command key. This is on a Mac OS. On Windows it would be the control key. And then I'll select to faces, contained faces. So it'll select all of those faces. Okay. Alright, so with these faces selected, I'll do an extrude and give it an offset. Maybe like this. And I'll move that out a little bit. Give it another extrude. And there we go. We got the bar started. Alright, another extrude. Maybe out to here. No, let's say maybe to here. Which I didn't really need to do the other extrude, but as a matter of fact, I'll go back and redo that. Then do an extrude. Bring it out this far. Then down. Maybe a little bit further back. Something like that. Another extrude. Bring it out. Maybe that far. Alright. And I'll do one more extrude at the end and just move it a little bit to give that rounded edge. Alright, so a nice smooth piece of geometry coming down. Alright, so next part is going to be creating the kind of like these little swells in the middle. Then from those swells we can make these brackets that come down and attach the top of the barrel there. Alright, and actually we're missing another piece here that I forgot about, which will come back. You know what, we're just going to do without that piece. We'll just go from here. Alright, so to make these swells we're going to make some edge loops here, or not edge loops but rings here, 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 here. Alright, if you remember from class, the easiest way to do this is insert edge loop options. When we go into our options, we'll select multiple edge loops and we'll select, let's say, 5. It might not be enough, but let's take a look. So 1, 2, 3, no, not enough. Let's say 7. 1, 2, let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, still not enough. Let's try 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, that'll do. Alright. Quit the tool, go over here, and let's select some edges. Or not edges. Let's select these faces. Select one. Let's close the tools so I can see better, and so can you. Select one of these polygons, hold down shift, double click the next one over. Same thing here. Hold down shift and select this one, and then hold down shift, double select the next one. Rinse and repeat. Alright, so we have these 4 sets of polys selected. We'll do an extrude. Add some thickness, maybe like so. Alright. And from these, now you could go in and make some cylinders if you wanted to. As a matter of fact, you could make a cylinder, round off one bottom, and then make your bracket immediately, and then just duplicate it over. That would be the easy way to do this. Now, so why am I taking this long way around? Well, for practice. You know, some of the biggest things as far as modeling goes is the fact that the hardest thing to do sometimes is moving around and knowing exactly where to select what. Alright, so it's always good to go in and get a little bit of practice with that. so that looks good. Let's go ahead and hit an extrude. And we'll push that extrude straight down. And give it a little bit of flare on the edge, on the outside. And push it all the way down. Go ahead and hit delete and delete those faces. Alright, so that's a little bit larger than what I had planned, but it'll be alright. I can always go in and change the uniform scale if I want, and then the length scale if I really wanted it to be a little bit smaller. But due to the fact that we didn't make this other piece, and I'm not going to go back and do it right now because I already planned out this lab, I'm just going to leave it the way it was. Okay. So obviously it's not perfect, but we had to make do with the fact that this other piece isn't here. Alright, next. Next thing we're going to do is let's make this cabling that goes underneath this little, I guess, encapsulation chassis. I don't know what you'd call this, but the whole design of this is that this little bracket exists to protect those cables from kind of getting caught on anything. They come from the cylinder and go up into the barrel. So we're going to create those cables. Alright, so to do this, we'll go into our right view so we can make a perfectly straight line. So we'll do create, and we'll go into curve tools and use a CV curve. Now if you're using older versions of Maya, this is not going to be in the same place. You'll just have to hunt around and find it. It shouldn't be hard. We have used it in class. Alright, so just make kind of a curve like so. Alright, obviously it doesn't have to be perfect. You can always go in and grab some of your control vertices and move those around. Like so. Now we have this line going across, and you know, in a perfect world, of course this line will be just fine. It's not going to have any problems at all. And that's the thing, is we want to add some randomness to the other axes as well. Alright, so, well, what are you talking about, Chris? Well, this isn't a perfect line from this side, okay? So what we want to do is kind of maybe give a little bit of sway here, a little bit of sway there. You know? Make it a little bit imperfect. Make it more like ourselves, I suppose. But that's a different class. Curve this end one in since it's going to go inside of the model, and I guess that will be fine on the end over there. Alright, maybe not so far in. Alright, good. So we have our line, our cabling line. Alright, next step, we're going to take a small circle and make an extrusion down the length of this cable to make this into a wire instead of a line. So create NURBS primitives, and we use a circle like so. We'll rotate it 90 degrees to get a better idea of what this is going to look like. Might be a little bit too large, but that's okay. We can always adjust it after we make our line. So again, the idea is to extrude this down the length of this line. Alright, so we choose our shape first, then we choose our line. We'll do surfaces and extrude options. Alright, we want to make a tube. We want to make it at the path. The pivot, we'll make it the components pivot. The orientation, we'll leave it at the profile normal, and we want to actually create polygons from this. Alright, we do an extrude, and you see what we end up with there. Okay, not too shabby. One problem is that the normals are reversed, so we have the actual skin on the inside rather than the outside. You can tell because the outside is black and the inside is the gray color that you see on other objects. Again, if you recall, these objects are still linked through their history, so if we actually change the wire now, we can change the size, or the circle, we can change the size of the wire. We can also change anything about the cable itself, and we'll be changing the cable when we move that line. Alright, if you want to change that after the fact. It's always a cool way to just prototype something and then go in and keep the same objects and make your prototyping a little bit more dynamic as you go. It's also a good way to make multiple objects with something and just do minor changes as you go. Alright, so I'm satisfied with that. That's fine. Go ahead and select this, and we'll delete the history off of it. We'll go to surfaces, reverse direction. Oh, no, not surfaces, reverse direction. Think. Oh, okay. This would have worked if the surfaces reverse direction, if whenever we actually did the surfaces extrude, if we had output NURBS instead of polygons, but it doesn't actually work on polygons, obviously. So where we actually need to go is into the polygon tools, because if we want to reverse the direction of the normals in a polygon, well, we need to work with those tools instead of over here in the surfaces and curves section. So if you're in Maya 2015 or lower, you'll have to change your selection set, or that's the wrong word. I forget what these are actually called. The menu set, I guess. You'll change it to modeling, or sorry, to polygons to actually find this. If you change it to surfaces, you'll find your NURBS tools. Inside of polygons, you'll go to mesh display and choose reverse, and you'll see what that did. Reverse the normals. Okay, we'll go ahead and delete the history, and we'll freeze transformations, and we will, should I even bother? Yeah, we'll just center the pivot, why not? Alright. So, now we can take this wire, move it into position. We can get rid of these other objects. Alright, so the idea is that all of these should be visible. And you see it does go into the side just like I envisioned. Like that. Now we can add some other details to it. For example, we can duplicate it. And maybe add a little bit of extra detail there. Something like that. Right, you can grab both of these. I don't like how they just disappear into it like that. Let's have some donuts. Scale that down. A little bit further up. Maybe something like that. Duplicate that. Rotate it over. And use it over here on the other side. It's still not going to look right. But good enough for government work. I said it's not going to be visible anyway. It's just one of those things where Chris is getting too picky and etc., etc. Boy, that looks really ugly. If I had a hole right here, it wouldn't look so bad. You know what? I'm just adding geometry for nothing, so I'm just going to delete it. Alright. When all else fails, just delete it. That's not true, but this one looks okay though. I would go back and redo that, but just to make this go for just sharp turn into here, and then add one of these little gasket looking things, but I'm not going to bother with it right now. That's detail work after you get the main pieces in place. Alright, so let's see. I'll combine all of these into one, which will make the pivot be the center of the world automatically, which means what I can do is now Control D, duplicate that. You see I've made a complete duplicate of it, and now I can scale it in my -1x, and it will flip it on the x-axis. Now you could go and use your mirror tool, that's fine, but this is a lot quicker. Again, so you okay. What you want to do is if you want to flip something over, you want to make a duplicate of it and flip it over. Grab everything that you want to make a copy of. Go to Mesh, Combine, and that will make everything one piece. And it will automatically, by default, set the pivot for that new created item at the world center. The world center of the world, let's say it that way. Alright, the origin of the entire world, or the scene anyway. 0, 0, 0. Alright, so what that means is if we were to move this in relation to its pivot, if we just use our scale, right now it's the normal size and the -1. If we would actually flip it in the z-axis, so going this way, mirror it over, all we have to do is set the scale to -1, and there you go. I guess evidently I didn't duplicate it, but this time I did. Alright, so now we have wires on both sides. Alright, finally we're going to add some visual peel to the barrel by using face duplicates. Now, one of the great things about extrude is, well, it's fast uses, I should say. But one of the things is when you start adding new geometry and you want to extrude something out, sometimes it can change the topography of the piece that you're working on. And you probably don't want that. You've worked hard, you've made the piece exactly what you wanted. Or let's just say that you want to make a new piece using an existing piece, but you don't want to make an exact copy of it and then start hacksawing off the parts you don't want. Instead, what you can use is duplicate face. Alright, so first we're going to go in here and we're going to insert an edge loop. No, not like that. Go into insert edge loops, and we'll reset the tool. We want relative distance from the edge. And we'll make one, let's say, here. And I guess I made that other one by mistake, but that's actually what I wanted, so I guess it's fine. Alright, so this piece. And what we're going to do is go into face selection mode. And let's see, we can select this face, hold down shift, double click this one, go into our front here, hold down control and select like this, so you'll just leave these pieces, and I'm going to unselect those pieces, and I want to unselect that. And maybe select this piece. And that'll work. Alright, so we have these faces selected. Go to Edit Mesh. And we'll see our face section and duplicate. So we'll say duplicate. And what this has done is it's made a separate piece of geometry using the faces that we had selected. You can even take the faces off one at a time. Right? If we go into our options here, separate duplicated faces, we don't want to do that. Go ahead and hit duplicate. For some reason it's not doing exactly what I want it to do here. Alright, so we'll just go ahead and hit an extrude immediately. Oh, okay, that's smoothing on. Well, that explains a lot. Alright, so we can add a little bit of an extrude like that. Actually, you know what? I don't want to do that because I want to unselect some geometry. Go back and just get that. I'll leave this edge alone. And same thing on the bottom. Like this. Alright. Then I'll go into my edit. And I'll grab those faces. And that looks good. So then I can do an extrude. Give it some thickness. Just a little bit of thickness. Like so. Do another extrude. Give it an offset. Get this middle piece here. Another extrude. Give this one some little bit of thickness. Like so. I don't particularly like that. Extrude. A little bit of thickness. And we'll leave it there. Then we'll go. Okay, I see the problem here. Okay, duplicate the faces. Then do an extrude. Move it up a little bit. Which may or may not be something you want to do. Just depends on what you're trying to do. But for this one, we're not going to separate faces. And we'll click duplicate. Now, you'll see whenever we have these little bends here on this piece, and the rest of the bends are going to the other direction. Alright? These angles are all going on to the inside, and this one goes to the outside. So here's what this is, obtuse, and the other ones are acute. Or whatever. So it kind of messes things up. You'll see. I'll do my translate. All the other ones look fine, but this one kind of rolls in on itself. And it's actually okay. And I'll show you how we fix that. Just go ahead and do it the normal way. Alright, looks good. We'll accept that. Alright, so now we'll right click, go to edge, go in and grab this middle edge, hold down control, hit backspace to delete it, and there you go. No more rounded thing. Okay, you might want to go ahead and delete one more. It's completely up to personal preference. If I right click and go back to face, alright, I can select that piece again, and I'll do an extrude, take my thickness in the negative direction. No, okay, I'll go ahead and leave it positive. I don't want to make it too complicated here. Move it back down onto the barrel. Alright. We'll do select, grow, select, grow, select, grow. So we'll select this entire piece and then move it before you just be moving the face. Alright, so we move this piece down here like so. Move it however you like the look. Again, completely up to personal preference. Alright, so I'm going to isolate select this. I'm going to grab these inside faces. These are just extra faces, they won't be seen, but I am going to use them to extend down. I guess it didn't actually make any inside geometry. Alright, well, no problem. It just means that I can just grab this inside edge and move that one down. Alright, take off, show selected, and now we've combined to look a little bit better. Maybe we'll scale it down to get this bottom part inside. Alright, so with that done, I would suggest going in and making some edge loops like so. Now remember, now that you can add edge loops on this new piece, they won't affect the barrel. So, you know, you can go crazy. Add some here, add some here, add one here. Go into your face selection mode. And you know, I don't really have any rhyme or reason here at this point. I'm just kind of trying to make something that sticks out a little bit. Not bad. maybe something like that. Smooth it. Looks a little bit goofy, so I'll go in and maybe add another edge loop here. Add one here. Sharpen up the outsides of this, like so. You wouldn't even really have to add the smoothing modifier unless you really wanted to. So there's something like that. I want to add one more edge loop, or two more edge loops. Top inside, like that. Alright, so it's a whole lot of geometry, but like I said, I wasn't doing any rhyme or reason there. Alright, so same type of thing. Now, let's say I go into face, double click this face. I have this entire little piece that I've made selected. So what I can do now is I can go to edit mesh, and instead of checking on the face, I won't choose duplicate this time, I'll choose extract. And what that will do is, where duplicate would take the faces on an object and make new faces and pull them off, but the old faces would still be there and it would still be one object. What extract does is it will take the faces you have selected and remove them from the object that they're attached to and make a new object using those. And also what happens is this new object immediately has a pivot of the origin of the scene. So if I hit extract, now you can see I can actually go into object selection mode and I can move this object independently from the other. So now, since the I have to redo it, I guess. Since the origin is the center of the world, would not be a big deal to Control D, make a duplicate, scale in the X, and make the same thing on the other side. Alright. Select both of these, duplicate this one and this one, Control D to duplicate, go to move, maybe make one at the end over here, Control D to make another duplicate and put it in the middle. Maybe something like that. Alright, so that's it for this lab. If we look back over at what we set out to accomplish, we modeled the attachment bar, we added some cabling or wiring extended down the length of the barrel, and we created visual appeal, and appeal is used very loosely in this case. I do not like what I did, but you learned about duplicating and extracting faces. That's good enough. So anyway, this was the session 3, lab 1 of the project called Space Gun. If you enjoy videos like this, if you're not from my class, subscribe to my channel. If you are from my class, next class we will continue this project, So be prepared with whatever file that you finished off with for the lab, and we will add the handle and the trigger, etc., and finish this off. I hope you have a great night. I hope you had fun. I did. And I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.